Hello, Scorpio. Thank you so much, as always, you guys, for being here. Okay, Scorpio, so looking at your last week of November, you pulled faith, isolation, and choice. It's really interesting how these three are tying together, but I think that the reason why this is coming up is because something may be happening where you're being invited to have a different experience, but I think some of you are either passing those opportunities by or you may do so. And if you do that, you may be missing out on a chance to have a return of faith, not just in other people, but experiences. It's almost like I don't have any faith in what the universe is bringing to me. So rather than making any kind of a choice to experience anything, you go into isolation. Now, this is only going to be for some of you, but faith very specifically talks about faith being restored or returned to you. But this is also about the choices that you make as far as who and what you place your faith in. Isolation, and this is why I feel like for some of you, something's going to be coming up where if you don't make the choice to experience this or interact with it, whatever, is coming through to you, it feels like an invitation. But if you don't, you're going to be passing up something really big. So the inspiration literally says, do not wait for the right time to live your life. You are on the verge of something big, but if you don't participate, it could pass you by. And then choice. It says, somewhere along the way, you have given up the right to decide. This can happen for many reasons. You may have quit making choices under the pretext of being agreeable or putting someone else's needs before your own. It may be that decision making is too overwhelming right now. It says you have so many options. Each choice you make can take you closer or further from your desires. And it talks about how it's important for you to start exercising the right to choose. But I find it interesting. It's like, and I get it, I don't have faith in people or experiences anymore, so why be a part of that? Isolation also talks about feeling like you're not ready, but that could lead to feeling like you're never ready for what you've been desiring. But that may be coming from a place where you're just jaded by the experiences that you've had, right? Where you're giving up your power to choose. But like I said, for some of you, you may have been passing by certain opportunities. For others of you, something may be coming up. And because of isolation, you may choose not to experience something that could lead you straight to what you've been desiring. But I get it, right? Why bother? Isolation also says that you have everything you need right where you're at. All right, Scorp, you're overall the Queen of Wands. I love when she's the overall. So now definitely this could be about how another person is affecting you. We could be talking about another person here, but because this is your overall, whatever is going on around you, it may be bringing out a better version of you. I always look at her and think this is where we're feeling good, we're looking good. There's the attraction that's there, people being attracted to you, getting attention. But we're also talking about passion being returned though too, so we'll see how she's playing out. In the past, the Four of Wands, so celebrating a new foundation that you're starting to build. So this is good. This to me is, a big indicator here that whatever it is that you've been working on, where are you grounded? What's grounding you? What foundation are you building for yourself? Whatever that is, first of all, there's happiness with this. But with the Queen of Wands, it's amplified. So if you're continuing to work on something, whether it's working on yourself, working on relationships, whatever it may be, the foundation that's being built there is great. And now it's just a matter of continuing that and you having the ability and the passion to continue to do so, right? Oh boy. In the present, there you are, death. So, and it would make sense with the Queen of Wands being the overall. So there's a new foundation that's being built that I think for a lot of you is going to have to do with you and how you see yourself and how you interact with other people in the world. But it's coming out of a death moment, that change, that transformation. So some of you are going through the process of, you know, the false ego, the false identity, the one that you've been attached to coming to an end and it transforming in a really beautiful way here. But this could also be talking about something that is coming to an end in order for you to continue to build on this foundation. I love the Four of Wands being there as the past coming through. But, you know, we'll see how this is connected with your environment. And then putting in the work. Future conditions, the Eight of Pentacles. So now, literally, for some of you, this could be something that you have been working on. And there's at least a stable foundation set and ready to go. But something has to come to an end, and it changes you in such a way where you're able to continue to work on that with the Eight of Pentacles, right? But we're also talking about, you know, besides the hard work here, it's you really refining your talent. But there's also that, you know, financial gain that can be had with this though too. But I look at the Queen of Wands with the Eight of Pentacles, and whatever it is that you're putting all your effort and intention into is coming from a transformation that's happening within you. Your best path to follow, the Ten of Cups. And I've seen this before, and typically when this is in the advice position, it's really, what does your happily ever after look like? You know, if you could reach that point, what does that look like to you? So for some of you, it really is about getting to that place of absolute happiness, emotional fulfillment, happy life, happy home, right? But don't waste effort on the things that are not going to be creating that long-lasting happiness, right? So everything here looks great. Death, though, that's the big one, like right in the middle of such minor things going on. But I think what's more important is, you know, how you're changing and how that's making you look at, you know, what's going to make you happy. Okay, so the Five of Wands in your environment. So there's conflict there, right? And I don't think that this has to do with competition. I think it's more so about things that are creating enough difficulty that, you know, you're grounding yourself somewhere else. You're done with this kind of conflict. And whatever is involved with your happily ever after in the present moment, it's no. It's I'm done with that, with death. You're done with these kind of difficult situations. You know, the other thing too I'm feeling here is like constantly having to deal with people who, you know, would rather make you feel like you're not able to create the things that you're wanting, you know, and it constantly creating inner conflict with you. But either way, with death and the Five of Wands, right, like it's one too many. But it's so small and it's so petty, and I think that you may realize that you've been involved with it a little bit too much. Because you're looking at it differently now from, you know, after having the death experience. And it really changing who you are, but for the better. Your hopes and your fears, the Ace of Pentacles, make sense, right? Especially with the Eight of Pentacles. Of course, you're going to want to put in the hard work and the effort for that. This is hoping for that new beginning, right? The realistic, sustainable new beginning. And coming out of death, You know, right? There's the focus on the overall happiness, but the material world seems to be important though too. And it's like things need to change in your outer world here. But this is coming from, like I said, this foundation that's being built here with the Four of Wands. But this makes sense, right? Like, of course, that's the kind of new beginning you want to have. And then coming out the Seven of Swords. Ooh, boy. All right. So there's, for me, with this Seven of Swords, I kind of look at it as almost like with the After Tarot, what would happen a few minutes into the future. This is kind of like being left to pick up the pieces and realizing what's been taken from you. And I can understand why, you know, that would be something that really, really changes you. But it makes me wonder about the conflict that's going on in your environment. If this isn't happening because somebody isn't exactly being honest, but this may eventually come out. And that may be because you are changing and what you're building is changing. And your overall happiness and your idea of that is also changing. And somebody may not like that, but there are some things that I think that are being kept hidden that are going to end up coming out. Yeah, and you already knew that. The Nine of Swords. The Five of Pentacles. Okay. And then the Knight of Pentacles, which is good to see with the Eight of Pentacles, because there's a plan and a path forward and you're willing to put in the effort, despite the fact that the effort that you may have been putting in before was towards something that wasn't exactly honest. With the Seven of Swords and looking at the Nine of Swords, it's almost like, you know, your worst fears coming to light. And I also look at the Nine of Swords sometimes and it's like the mind won't let you forget the pain that you've suffered. Especially if it's coming from a place of deception and it coming out in the open. But with the Four of Wands, absolutely, it makes sense why there's a better new foundation being built for you and who you are and what happiness looks like to you. But I almost feel like here, right, like you're over and you're done with this. You're not concerned with this, with death being in the present moment. The problem is the conflict is coming from a place that's dishonest. And it may make you look back at situations like this and things that have been said and done. And it's almost like, you know, I feel like you knew, but this is kind of like the realization of that and seeing it for what it is, right? And then the Five of Pentacles looking at death and the Five of Wands. You know, we're talking about not having your needs met. This is lack, feeling rejected. But with the Queen of Wands, that's going to be changing. But that's because of the effort that I think that you're putting into yourself. And getting away from situations like this that are meant to hold you back or keep you down or make you feel like you don't have a voice or that your feelings aren't valid. You know, it could be a lot of different things, but you're still coming out with, you know, this deception here. We're picking up the pieces, but you're putting in a lot of hard work here. And things may be slow going, but realistic and practical, and things in your outer world are going to start to change too, where if you've been feeling any kind of financial lack, right, the opportunity is going to pop up for you to do something that, you know, you can do very well. But the Seven of Swords, just it gets to me, especially with that Five of Wands, right? Yeah, transformation, we know. Play. And, you know, and looking back at your oracle cards, right? Like, be careful about the invitations that you decline. Because it may be the big thing that restores faith in you when it comes to the experiences that you've had and the people that you deal with. and then resistance, right? Like, that's what has to change. The resistance that you've been holding on to. But I feel like this resistance is external to you. It's not something that, you're just purposely doing. I think it's because of what is going on in your environment. And I really feel like you're dealing with people who would rather see you down. But it's almost like they're projecting something onto you because of that Seven of Swords coming out, right? Some of you might have to make the choice here to end a situation. But it's going to be to your benefit, right? Wandering path, enjoy the journey. I always laugh when this one comes out because it's so true. It's that reminder that the path is never straight, right? First light, beginning a new cycle, and then you have mystic healer, a healing energy flows through you. I haven't seen that one in a while. So, new cycle, perfect, but I feel like you're actually going to start to see it happening. Where in the past, I don't know that you actually realize the foundation that you're building now that's changing you and who you are. And with the Queen of Wands too, people may be looking for your attention, right? But being able to heal damage that may have been done, especially if, it's something that's happening within the home life, within the relationship, right? But I love the fact that the path may be winding for you, but we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And the healing that can take place, I think, is also going to help with the transformation that you are going through, and also help you to release any resistance that you've been holding on to.